Sometimes being vegan feels like a 24/7 job. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Liz and I'm going vegan while doing things a little extra each time. If you're new here, please subscribe and hit the notification bell next to it so you're notified when new videos go up. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I make new videos every week. So today, I just wanted to make a sort of break from my typical recipe videos and just kind of get out there what I'm feeling about veganism lately, and why I feel like it's kind of hard to be a new vegan. And I guess that sounds really strange because I recently just made a 1.5 year vegan update, which I'll link in the cards. And so I'm not even vegan 2 years yet. I'm coming up on 2 years, so I still consider myself a new vegan. But yeah, these are just kind of some things I've been thinking about and feeling lately. And I know part of that is just from being in this online space. I don't have anyone in my life who is vegan. So what I know of it and what I'm exposed to is purely online. So, just to put that out there when I talk about these points, especially because they're just my opinions. It's just what I'm observing. And it certainly isn't reflective of the whole vegan community. It's the microscopic portion that I'm seeing and that I feel that I'm a part of. Here are my reasons why I think it's kind of hard being a new vegan. Number one, it's hard to still find accessible replacements and to even know what those replacements are. Point being, as you can probably tell from my voice, like I've been sick. And I haven't really been sick since going vegan, maybe like one other time. And even then it's always just kind of like a head cold. But if I have like an itchy throat or something, my go-to grab is honey. And then I'm like, shoot. So I know there are kinds of vegan honey substitutes, but as a new vegan, I had no idea. And it was kind of like, what am I going to do for myself when I have a sore throat? And then just other things. It was like, I don't know a replacement for this, or how do I make seafood? When I went vegan, I had no idea about jackfruit at all. Like that was a completely foreign ingredient to me. And I know that that's not applicable to everybody. Some people might already know what those things are, but I didn't. And I do think even just talking with others that are around me who aren't vegan, but are willing to eat my plant-based meals and everything, they've never heard of some of these things either. So as someone who wasn't surrounded by vegans, wasn't like immersed in the community yet, it can be really difficult and intimidating to try to find replacements, especially so here's the thing, it's especially hard when you think you're finding a good replacement and then you're told actually no. Specifically for replacements where it looks like it's vegan, then you find out that the way it's processed, that whole like sugar debacle where, if it's processed with like bone char, then it's not considered vegan. I just that never was in my consciousness at all. And even now, it's still really hard for me to wrap my brain around that. I've gotten really good at scanning ingredient lists and seeing like, okay, this, like they're trying to trick me. No. But then sometimes I do see those things. And now every time I see sugar, I'm just like, is this really okay? Okay though. And I mean, I don't want to be too fanatical about it because then, my grocery store trips are going to take an eternity and I'll never leave the store. But I could see why that would be hard for a newer vegan than myself, because it's just so much to have to pay attention to right off the bat. And you don't want to feel like you're making a mistake. I know it took me a long time to get more involved on Instagram stories even and share my new food finds because I was paranoid that I was going to show a photo of a food item that wasn't truly vegan without my knowing. And even though people know that's not my intention, there's always people who will flock on you. And I'm happy to be told otherwise. Like, that's not the case at all. But, you don't want to be attacked for not knowing. I think there's always room to learn. Going along with that is number 2. And the feeling the need / pressure to be eco-friendly and environmental 24/7. I was already environmentally conscious before going vegan. I would, reuse containers. I had, my reusable water bottles. I was on that bandwagon. That was fine for me. And then as I got more immersed in the vegan community that I'm in, people made me aware of other solutions and swaps that I could make and incorporate into my life. And I've loved all of them. And I even made a video on my current eco favorites. I'll link that as well. But it is still very challenging because every time I feel like I find a new solution, 20 more people have already posted newer and better solutions to the one that I've found and adopted. And I just am always thinking about that. And I bought, steel straws. I bought reusable sandwich bags. I bought reusable produce bags, reusable grocery bags. And I love them all. But again, as a new vegan, it was like, oh, okay, I'm already cleaning out my fridge, throwing all that out, doing an overhaul of the food I'm eating. And now I have to also overhaul everything else I've been doing to get that food, or how I'm preparing that food, or like what I'm using to prepare that food or store that food, those kind of thoughts. It's just like always going and whirring in my brain. And I think that can be a little intimidating, especially because I feel like there is this notion that if you're vegan, people assume, at least in my life, that you're like environmentally conscious and eco-friendly, or want to be eco-friendly and have that in mind. And I don't think that pressure should be put on everyone like right from the start. Again, I think it's a whole learning experience. And if someone, it's also not just that, a learning experience, it's also a very, it's a money commitment, and some people just can't afford that. Being vegan, especially if you don't have access to vegan junk food, like it might be, easier on your wallet. But when you have access to vegan junk food and all these vegan specific products, it costs a lot of money. So you're already putting out a lot of money for the food items. And then you'd also have to put out money for these eco-saving options, which I understand in the long run, they'd probably save you money. But as an upfront cost, some people might just not be able to do that. Or with how their lifestyle is, job, whatever, they might not be able to, fully make use of those items. And I think that's fine. I do think it's weird when people just kind of like assume that you need to have these things. Again, going back to like being afraid on Instagram, but like because I'm so open and I do like to share my food finds and just what's going on in my life on there, I love coffee and everybody knows that about me. But I do find it hard sometimes if I like wash my steel straws and I don't bring them with me, that if I post a picture of like my coffee cup that has a plastic straw on it, people will judge. And I wish we didn't have to think of those judgments. Not that we have to, but I mean, I wish that those judgments didn't exist just because I'm vegan and just because I'm trying to be eco-friendly in other aspects of my life. So I think that's just another intimidating aspect of being a new vegan. It's kind of like, the diet overhaul and then the lifestyle overhaul. So this brings me to number 3, which is feeling like you need to be an animal activist. And I know everybody is probably going to disagree with me here, but I do feel like it, I've always promoted and said that, I went vegan for my health. Not for any specific health reason. I just have always been one to experiment with my diets, with my lifestyle, before going vegan, I was very big on doing Whole30 challenges and things like that, cutting out sugar, cutting out carbs, whatever, seeing what worked for me. And veganism is what a vegan diet is what worked for me. You know, it helped clear up my skin, helped me lose weight, helped me just sleep better, feel better, all of that. So I stuck with it. And, you know, I feel like there's a little bit of a like less desire towards the people who say that they went vegan for health reasons, or that they're only doing it for health reasons and not for the animals. And, you know, it's not that I'm for animal cruelty or anything. I did go vegan for my health, and it's weird for me to feel like I need to be this like animal crusader. And because then I feel bad and internalize like I'm doing something wrong by not being active about it. And even though I will point people in the direction of documentaries that, you know, expose the like meat and dairy industry and all that, I feel like it's still not enough sometimes. At least not enough to, again, the vegan community that I see and am involved with online. And it's just a lot. I remember once I moved into my new apartment, I'm in a rural area, and you know, I even looked up like animal sanctuaries in my area to see if I could do something. And it just kind of like escalated and got into all this crazy stuff. And I think it's okay for me right now to just be okay with me having gone vegan for my health. And I think it should be okay for fellow new vegans to also be okay with having gone vegan for their health and not needing to, you know, go to all these specific conventions and everything. And I think you can still support the animals and everything in your own way until you're ready to do more. And I don't think we should feel pressured to feel like it's so black and white. I know a lot of the argument is like, well, then you're not vegan, you're just plant-based. And I mean, I guess you could argue that. I will still continue to identify as vegan, even though I'm not an active animal activist. But, you know, I think there's just a lot of sides to it, and way more factors even than feeling like you need to be eco-friendly and all that. I think being an animal activist is just like a whole big thing. And although I encourage it, I could understand why new vegans don't want to jump into that right away. And I think we should, you know, give them some slack for that, or at least just be understanding of their choices. So jumping off of that is number 4, feeling the need to defend your clothes and accessories. This was hard for me because when I went vegan, I kind of like jumped all in and wanted to be involved in all these things because, you know, almost 2 years ago now, that was when like a lot of these new vegan products were like taking off and all these vegan restaurants were popping up, and it was a big time. So like I skirted in on the veganism thing at like the opportune moment, and it was great. But so I always wanted to go to like the conventions and the meetups and everything that were local to me. And oh my gosh, guys, if you knew the amount of time I spent just like analyzing every piece of my clothing and accessories to make sure that like they weren't leather, or were people going to perceive these as being leather, or, you know, if I had faux fur or something when it was cold, you know, are people going to judge me for that? And because I see constantly, like I can just go on Instagram right now and just do a few scrolls and like there's vegan footwear promoted, vegan purses promoted. And I have tried to, I mean, I already have faux leather and faux fur stuff. I don't have any of that real stuff. But you know, for those who do have like actual leather belt or leather like high-end purses that they've had before being vegan, you know, that maybe were gifted to them or something, I don't think they shouldn't get use out of that. I think it's still okay for you to use those items. I think it would be ridiculous to just let them go to waste. I know some people will donate those so that they're not like tempted to use them still. And I think that's cool too. I just think, you know, it shouldn't be like, ugh, like what is she using? What is she wearing? Because again, I think it just needs to be welcoming, like especially when you're newly vegan, and if you're someone like me who doesn't have anyone else in their life who's vegan, you don't want to feel judged. Again, it just goes back to that. You just don't want to feel judged, and that's not to say anyone is judging me or anyone else in that same position, that same thought process, but it can just feel that way. And so I just think that's one other thing that can make it difficult, especially because at that point you may be like me, thinking of that, having that in mind when you're trying to insert yourself into an aspect of the vegan community like these festivals. And then jumping off of that is number 5, feeling like you need to defend your beauty regimen or like keep it secret. This has only happened to me relatively lately. Not so much when I like very first went vegan, because it was, again, so out of my mind. I was still discovering new ingredients and being bombarded with all that information and all the nutritional label stuff. But lately I have been paying more attention to, it's like, oh my gosh, is this cruelty-free makeup? Most of them are, and what I have, or these brands are now slowly converting into that. So I feel like it's much easier today to find cruelty-free makeup and vegan makeup. But, again, scrolling through Instagram, I'll see like a whole vegan line, or just like, here are these like the best vegan beauty products. And it's especially difficult when I know that I've tried some of them and they haven't worked for me or my skin or whatever the case may be. And it's like, ugh, do I stick with like what I have? Do I keep trying? Case in point, I was looking for a new shampoo, and because my hair can be very difficult to deal with, and I must have spent like 20 minutes standing in a Target aisle looking at their cruelty-free options and just trying to analyze, like, will this work for me? Will this not? Because again, it's another cost commitment, at least in my experience. Those vegan cruelty-free shampoos were double, like at least, if not triple the price of your standard conventional shampoo that I could buy down the shelf from them. So it was kind of like, this is like a lot to pay for just to try the item, but you know what, I'm gonna do it. And I did it, and I ended up loving it. I think that's another thing that can make it hard for new vegans, because again, it's just tackling one thing onto the next. It's like diet, lifestyle, clothes, makeup. And I think, it's okay to, again, learning experience, just keep learning, and to slowly incorporate those things, or just get your toes wet and, test them out to see if they'd be a good fit for you. Not that you need to just throw out all of your expensive products that already work for your skin and your body. And yeah, I think it's just finding a comfort level almost and not feeling guilty about it. Number 6. This is a big one, and it's a silly one, but it's a big one. Feeling like you need every kitchen gadget. Pro tip, you don't. When I went vegan, it was the new hot thing to have an air fryer. And needless to say, I got an air fryer. Did I need one? No. Would I still be surviving today without one? Yes. But it was so frustrating for me as a new vegan. I would research these recipes, I wanted to keep experimenting. I already liked to cook, and I just wanted to see what I could do for my body with this new diet. And I would look up these recipes, and some of them honestly post only air fryer instructions, which most of the time do easily just convert to your conventional oven. Sometimes they didn't really, like with what was involved, or the way that, or an order of things that you had to cook or whatever. And I was just like, can't make this because I don't have an air fryer. Can't make this because I don't have an air fryer. Same thing goes with the Instant Pot. Those still get me to this day. I don't have an Instant Pot, and there are recipes out there that are specifically just for the Instant Pot, but I would love to make them. But sometimes it's really difficult. It's like, do I want to buy everything, prep everything, and start it and just willy-nilly wing it and see if it comes out okay, doing it on the stove or whatever, however I plan to do it. And, you know, sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't, and it just can be kind of frustrating. I would say that those are probably the two biggest things. Third being a high-speed blender. I did not have a high-speed blender also when I first went vegan, and it was so annoying because everybody had like a cashew sauce or, you know, even just these like smoothie recipes and everything. And my little blender, chug as it might, just couldn't blend like even ice cubes. And so I got a new blender. And it's not necessary, and I think new vegans should know that, you know, it's okay. You don't need all of these gadgets. I actually think it would be best to just start out with the blender because you can do so much with it that, you know, like I said, the air fryer can just be replaced with the oven. Instant Pot, I mean, if you have a slow cooker, at the very least, you could kind of get that vibe. It just won't be half as quick. The blender at least will help you do like smoothies, smoothie bowls, sauces, you know, all of that stuff that can be crucial to recipes. But yeah, I think you just don't need all of these things. It's just, again, taking it one step at a time. But I think that can definitely be hard because it was hard for me when I was newly vegan, that like these things just, it felt so close yet so far because I didn't have the right equipment according to the recipes. Number 7 is feeling the need to support every new vegan product or restaurant or like replacement. As I'm filming this, the latest thing has been that Dunkin' now has that Beyond Sausage biscuit. And then before that, I believe it was the Impossible Whopper. It's a lot, you guys, especially when I went newly vegan, so almost 2 years ago. And it was like I needed to buy everything and try everything, especially because the thing is now there's not just like one brand, like there's not just like one dominating brand of the vegan items. You know, there are tons of butter options, there are tons of cheese options, there are tons of mayo options, and it's like you want to try them all and support them all. And it is a major money commitment. I mean, I've been to the grocery store where like one trip will cost me over $100 at Whole Foods, and I'm one person, and it's because I've filled up my cart with all of these new things, and I want to, you know, get their name out there and everything and support them and promote them. And I love being a part of that, and I think it's really cool that we're bringing awareness to these plant-based products for people who don't typically eat plant-based every day and have a vegan diet. But at the same time, especially for new vegans, it just can be so overwhelming and just so hard to sort through the clutter, I guess would be the way to say it. And to, I think, like feel like you need to say that they're all wonderful and amazing. There have been quite a few. I think most notably mac and cheese was kind of my big journey because I would watch reviews and look at recipes and then compare to what I would find in the store. And, you know, there would be people, there's always people recommending different products to me, or just, you know, in general out there online. And then I go and buy them and I'm like, this doesn't taste like what you said it would taste like. This doesn't have the texture you said it would taste like. What are you talking about? Why are you saying that this is amazing? And, you know, maybe they really do think it's amazing. Or maybe they're just promoting it because it's a vegan product. And like, either way, win-win, you do you. I think it's still cool either way. But I think it can just be like hard to get swept up in that current and to just go with the flow of everybody else and being like, this is amazing, this is the best thing ever, and then really you're just trying it and you're like, it's not that great. Or, you know, I've been to restaurants even and I've been pretty vocal about some of them. I love that restaurants are adopting vegan options, and I love that they're even more just solely vegan restaurants out there now. And as much as I do want to support each and every one of them, they do tend to be more expensive. And, you know, if they're just really not that great or putting out a quality product, I don't think you should still feel the need to just blindly support. And I know that's kind of a weird, harsh opinion, but at the end of the day, it's your money. And because there are so many amazing vegan products, brands, and places to support, I think it would be better to just keep supporting the ones that you do truly love, as opposed to just blindly supporting all of them. And like I said, that can be really hard to sort through when you're newly vegan. Okay, so number 8. This is my last reason why it's hard to be a new vegan. And it's kind of like my biggest one. And that is feeling like to be vegan, you need a greater purpose. Like you need a reason for being vegan. This is the one that's been kind of like tripping me up lately. There's been, you know, for the holidays now, like a lot of contests and giveaways and stuff going on online. And, you know, almost all of them are like, what was your reason for going vegan? What made you go vegan? What's this? I don't think it's correct necessarily to impose that on everyone, to make them feel like they need a reason to be vegan. I think sometimes that can contribute to the community and space being more exclusive than inclusive, and can make you just feel a little bit invalidated for these choices, especially if you're someone who went vegan for their health. I think more so. I mean, I have an answer for those giveaways and for those things. You know, I watched What the Health, and that was what inspired me to try plant-based eating and then stick with it. But do I feel like that's my end goal, reason, and purpose for being vegan? I don't think so. And I don't think, you know, that I need that to be my driving force. I think it's okay to just want to eat plant-based and just want to feel better overall. If, you know, eating vegan makes you feel better, I don't think you need to have this purpose. I think it can just be its own thing, and should be. I mean, there's not people out there being like, what's your like, why did you do Whole30? Why are you paleo? Like, what's your driving force? I mean, there are people out there doing that. I shouldn't say no one, but I mean, it's less common. And because the amount of times I did Whole30 and everything, no one was ever like, what was your reason for doing this? It's like, oh, you just want to do this. Like, that's fine. And that was like acceptable. And that's not to say that I don't feel accepted in the community, because I do, and I love the community that I'm in. But every now and again I will come across these posts and stuff, and I just feel like, oh, okay, like that's how you're feeling about this right now. And it does, you know, make me reflect back on how I'm also thinking and feeling about it, because I don't feel like I have that reason. Then it's like, it could be hard for someone who's newly vegan, because I feel like it can derail them. You know, it's even come close to derailing me. Just having that kind of like feeling like you need to fit in just for the way you eat. Is that weird? But like, sometimes being vegan feels like a 24/7 job. And I think that's why it can be hard for new vegans. So yeah, that is just what I think. Just wanted to kind of get that off my chest and put it out there. I will see you all next time. Bye.